Okay, I repeat, method is a special program or a program which contains a set of instructions. That set of instruction can be used whenever you want and wherever you want. Suppose you have an idea, so that means one program or one program can be repeatedly executed. Suppose if you are not using method, then that program is repeatedly written and repeatedly executed. So the length of the program should be increases and it will become a problem. Instead of that, suppose a program which is repeatedly uses, then you can write a separate program. Whenever you require, you can call that program. Whenever you require, you can call that program. So that's why the length decreases and execution time will be decreases. So I repeat, this is called as, in the C language, it is called as a function, but here it is called as a method. So a method can perform a specified function. Whenever you are using repeatedly, you can call that method. With that, please maintain the discipline in the online class. Okay, right. Just listen concept carefully. This is called as a method. I repeat, method is a one set of instructions which can perform a specific function. In whenever you require, you can call that function and execute that function, and several times, not only single time, you can use the several times. This is called as a method. Okay, let us example, suppose you want to perform multiplication several times, then you can create a multiplication method. You can call the multiplication method whenever you require. Suppose factorial is there. Suppose factorial is a program. You can call the factorial method whenever you require the factorial. So it is a easiest way. Suppose if you are not using the method, whenever you require the factorial, then you can repeatedly write the same program again and again and again. Length should be increases. To avoid this confusion, a repeated program can be called, is called as a method. Is called as a method. Okay, right. How to call that? So let us take, this is called as a method declaration. Method, you can call the method. Once you call the method, then control goes to method program. It can execute the program. It will give the some value, and that value should be entered into the main program. So this is called as a subprogram. I repeat, method is a subprogram. Whenever you call the subprogram, control transfer from main program to subprogram, execute the subprogram, and give the result to the, and send the result to the main program. Okay, so that's why. So to call the subprogram or the method, there is a some declaration is there. Let us take the first one is called as a access specifier. Whether you can use the public, whether you can use the static. Public can be used anywhere, but static can be used within the class. I repeat, public can be used anywhere, but static can be used in the same class. Next, this is called as a access specifier. Okay. Next one, this is called as a return type. Return type. Suppose after execution of the method, you can return character, you can return the string, you can return the value, you can return the double, whatever it may be. That is called return type. So that means you should mention the return type. So here I am returning the integer type. So that is called as return type. Sometimes you may return any value, or sometimes you may not return. So if you are not return anything, that is called as a void. Void return. If you are not written anything from the method to the main program is called as a void method. Void method. Okay. Suppose this is called other than void. So if you are returning something, data, so that is called data return method. Return data method. That data may be character, string, whatever it may be. So that's why this is called. There are two types of returns are there. One is nothing to be written. One is, another is you can return something. If you have written something at the end of the method, you should write return. Okay, return. Suppose if you not written anything, don't write anything. Okay, so that means the control cannot go from method to main memory. That is called subprogram to main program. If you are written, then the control transfers from subprogram to main program. Suppose here it will give the name, what the function you want to perform. So you can put the name. So you can put the name, that name as you wish. Okay, there is no specific rule. You can put any name. Okay, so whenever you are putting some name, that is called method name, you can call by with the same method name. Next is this is called as a parameters. This is called as a parameter. These parameters may or may not be same. Let us take, I want to say here integer A, integer B. So you are thinking that both variables or parameters are integer. Don't think like that. You can pass any parameters. So it is a combination of the double, you can combination of the string, you can combination of the integer. So combination of integer, double, float, string, anything should be called. So that's why this is called as a parameter list. So the collection of all these things is called as a method header. It is called as a method header. So what are the parts of the method header? Number one is a public or static. That is called as a specifier. Next, return type. Next, name of the method. Next, parameters. So below this, there is a subprogram. This is called as a method signature. This is called as a method signature. Some and in parameters is called as a method signature. Okay, and this is called as a program. I can give one example. This is called as a method structure. So I repeat, this is a public or static. This is a modifiers, return type, name of the method, and this is called as a parameters. Okay, this is the parameters. So all the parameters can be separated with the comma. So it is not mandatory, but the parameters are unique type. So both are integer, both are float. No. So you can use any data type parameter. Which data type parameter you should mention the data type, whether integer number one and double number two, or comma string name. You can put anything. So let us take, this is the body part. This is called as a body part. Suppose here what I'm saying, return type is integer. That means you should return the data type. So that's why at the end of the method you should return result. Suppose if you are not written anything, then you can use the void. So that's why in the C language or the Java language, you are writing the void. So void stands for no return. So void is a one type of function which cannot return. So similarly, here if you are giving the integer other than void, you can return something. In the return, you can return the value. In the void method, you are not supposed to return anything. Okay, so this is the method structure. So now we are performing we want to perform the 5 programs are there, different programs. I can explain one by one. All of you please look carefully. I am using the Eclipse IDE. Eclipse IDE. Share the screen. With that, okay, let us take. With the help of the program, I want to clarify, I want to explain the subject. Okay, so first I want to discuss about this is called as a return type. This is called as a return type. Return type. Suppose this program demonstrates maximum of the 2 variables. Maximum of the 2 variables. Suppose there are 2 numbers are there. So whenever I want to get the maximum of 2 different numbers, then I can call this method. I can call this method. Okay. So first I am using the pair. This is called as the test maximum. This is the class name. So this is class name. So what is the class name is that, then it can be stored here. This is the test maximum.java. Okay, this is called class name. So here, please be listen one thing. Any doubt? Please be listen one thing. Suppose if you are predefined the integers or data, then there is no need of the util.scanner. It is a one type of method, util.scanner. Suppose at the time of the execution you want to accept the two variable, then you can use the util scanner. Import java.util.scanner. Please be listen carefully. Okay, right. So first I am using this because I want to access at the time of the program, I want to access the two data, then I want to find what is the maximum of that. So please be listen. First you can give system scan is equal to new scanner system.in. So if you are not using this, then you are not scan. So what is the value you want to give? So I repeat, to accept this type of data, you can use import java.util.scanner. Import java.util.scanner. Second thing is scanner, scan, new scanner system in. So that is input. You will give the input value. So first I am writing the, you already know the system.outprint, enter the first number. So first it is entered, then you are typing some number. What happens? Okay, you are typing some numbers. So let us take, this is called as a, what is the number? You are entering one number. Then it is asking the second number. Then you are entering the second number. That first number, second number accepted by the processor by using this one. Integer I scan dot next in. So this is the scanner type. Next, please be listen. So two data are given. Now, so I can enlarge. Okay, two data are given. Next, I want to, suppose if I'm not using the method, I repeat, if I'm not using the method, then you can write the program here. But to find out the maximum several times, I am using the method. So in the method, what is the return type? Integer. What is the return type? Integer. What is the method name? Max. So this is called I comma j. Okay, so this is, Amma. Hello?
Account link channel.
Amma?
Bank account.
Hello? Any doubt? Okay. This is the parameter. This is the method name. Here I comma j. Here I comma j. I comma j is called as a arguments. I comma j is called as a argument. So method with the argument, then it can call the method with the arguments. So now these arguments will pass us through the parameters of the method. So what is the method name? Maximum. What are the arguments are there? I comma j. So this is the argument. These values cannot be changes in the main program. So I am passing the values. This is called passing the values. So to the method. So that's why this I comma j is called as a argument. Inside the method, you are mentioning the integer number 1 comma integer number 2 is called as a parameters. So in the main program, you are calling with the arguments, and these arguments passes their values to the method. So inside the method, so arguments can be passed through the parameters. So inside the method is called as a parameters. Inside the main program is called as an argument. So arguments are passed to the parameter. So I can be transferred to integer number 1, j can be transferred to integer number 2. Okay, so let us, as a LD, I am saying that what is the method declaration? Public static. These are the profile parameters. Okay, and this is called as a return type. Okay, if you are mentioned the return type, then this method can return some value. So what is the name of the method? Maximum. What are the parameters? Integer number 1 comma integer number. So according to the parameter, you should send the arguments. Suppose here integer number 1 and double number 2, then you can pass integer I and double j. So that's why arguments are transferred to parameters. So now these parameters can be performed here. What is my work function? I want to find out the maximum number. So here I can assign one result value. Check the number 1. If the number 1 is greater than number 2, result is equal to number 1. Else, if number 1 is greater than number 2, then result M. Suppose if the condition fails, then what happens? Result 2 is equal to number 2. So that return, so at the end of the, because it is a return type, so at the end of the method, you should return the result value. Now this result transfers to here. Okay, transfers to here. I repeat, the result can be transferred to here. Now this result can be displayed here. This result can be displayed here. Okay, or all right. So this is called as a parameter calling method. Parameter calling method with the arguments to the profile parameters. Right. Now I want to execute this. So see this. Okay. Enter the first number. So I am entering the first number -5. Enter. Enter the second number 0. Can anybody respond? Which is the greater than between 0 and -5? Hello? Hello? Okay. So 0 is the maximum number. So it can give the 0 value. It can give the 0 value. So suppose I want to check one more time. So let us take the first number. So the first number is equal to 99. Second number is equal to 2000. So find the maximum number is equal to 2000. So this is 99 and 2000 can be stored in the I comma j. This is called as an argument. Argument that passes through method. Method can perform the function. After function, it can return the result value. It can return the result value because it is a return type method. So that return should be stored where is the function is called. This is called as a function call. This is called as a method call. Max I comma j is a method call. So method is calling the, okay, this is a method calling. Once a method calling with the help of the arguments, argument is transferred to the parameters. Parameter can perform the function and this function return the result and result is transferred here. Okay, all right. So now in this function, 99, 2000 is transferred to number 1, number 2. So it can perform. So then the result can be transferred. What is the result? 2000. 2000 is comes to here. Then I want to store the result value. Okay, all right. Suppose this is called as a maximum method. Clear? All right. Next thing. Suppose I want to explain about the void method. Void method. Void method stands for cannot return anything. Void method cannot return anything. So please see this. Right. So let us take again. I am using the util.scanner. Util.scanner means the system can ask the for inputs. So user can give the inputs to the system. User can give the inputs to the system. It can be accepted. So for this you can use util.scanner. This is the one type of method. This is the one type of the method. So let us take first to use the scanner. I am using scanner. Scan is equal to new scanner system. So this is you can input. So now here this program says that grading. It will give the grading. Okay. So let us take this is called as a grading. Enter the score. So that means first you can ask enter score. So to ask to access the input values, double s is equal to scan dot next double. In previous scan dot next integer. In previous example we are using scan dot next integer. But here I am accepting the double value. Okay. So once, so please be listen. So this is called as a once a double is accepted, then I can call the method. What is the name of the method? Print grade yes. Print grade yes. Yes is a double value. So once this call the method, what is the name of the method? So this is called print grade. So this is called print grade is the name of the method. And what are the, this is yes is the, so here yes is the argument, and here this is the double is the score. Double is the score. This is the parameter. So this yes argument is entered into the score. One thing you should be remembered that suppose here score is the double. You cannot pass other than double. You cannot pass the arguments to the parameter other than double. Suppose if the parameters is the integer type, you can send the integer type. If the parameters are double type, you can send the double type. But suppose if the parameters are double, but arguments are integer, it is not accepted. It will give some error. It will give some error. Now, so let us take, so now what happens? Now the marks, that the score is transferred here. So what is the method parameter name? Public static. You can use any one, either public or either static, or you can use both. This is called as a return type. No, sorry, this is the parameter, and this is called as a void is a return type. This is the profile parameters, and this is called a void is a return type. Void stands for this method cannot return anything. And what is the name of the method? Print grade. Print grade. So what is the parameter? Parameter type is the this is the double score. This is called as a double type. And what is the parameter? Score. So argument, double argument is transfer their value to the double score. Please be remember one thing. Argument can pass their values the parameter. Argument value cannot be changes. It is just copies. Just copies the yes value into the argument to yes value is transferred to parameter. So that's why this is, you can remember one thing. Argument values cannot be modified. Just it can copy the values to the parameters to the method. So now I can check. Suppose this is a different condition. If score is greater than or equal to 90, then you can print A. Okay. If the score is greater than 80, you can print B. So this is called else if ladder condition. This is called as a else if ladder condition. Okay. So this is the called as a. Here, what is the type of the method? It cannot return any return value. So that's why this is called void. So method cannot return any to the main program. So that's why you can understand. You are just passing the argument to the method, and here you are getting the answer. So answer can be closed here, but it is not to display. It is not transferred to the main program. So that's why methods are two types according to the return value. If you are returning something, that is a return method, and if you are not transferring any return value or any data type to the main program, that is called as a return zero method. Okay, return method, return zero method. Return zero method is called as a void method. Void method. So that's why by observing the void name, by observing the method name, I can understand this method cannot return anything to the main program. Okay, all right. So now I want to test this program. Right. Enter the score. Suppose my students got the 95.5. 95.5. So that's why 95.5 is a argument. Is a argument, and it is a double value. So the data type is the double, argument is value 95.5. So this can be copied into the parameters. So what is the parameter? Score value. So now score become the 95.5. Then according to the score value, this program should be executed, and it will give the result. So A grade. This is called A grade. So can you please observe that system.out.println, this is close. So this method cannot return to the menu. So that's why it is called as a void. Void stands for cannot return anything. Void means cannot return to the main. So this is the one program. So in the previous program, we are returning some value to the main program by the method. But in this program, a void method, that means it cannot return any value, any data type to the main program. Okay, now we are understanding what is the method, how to call the method, okay, how the execution should be taken, how the arguments are passes. So value passes. So argument, okay, pass by value. This is called as a pass by values. Okay, according to the return method. So return, if you are written something, that is called return method. If you are not written anything, that is called void method. Okay, right. So this is the second program. Next is the, suppose I want to find out this is called as a overloading. Let us take overloading stands for, suppose I want to find out the maximum value of integers, maximum value of double. So in both data type, I want to find out the maximum value. Right. In both times, I want to find out the maximum value. Whatever it may be the data. Whatever it may be the data, I want to find out the maximum value. So for integer, you can call maximum of parameters integer number 1, integer number 2. For the double value, you can call maximum of double number 1, double number 2. You can write separately, but with the same name. What is the function? Maximum function. So maximum function with the same name, that is called overloading. Name is the same, but according to the parameters, according to the arguments, according to the parameters, you can write a different one. You can write different one. So I can show you in this program, I want to find out what is the maximum value between the two integers, what is the maximum value between the two double variables, whatever it may be. Okay, so let us take first, I want to discuss about here this integer x is equal to 20, integer y is equal to 45. I want to find out maximum value between the integers. So now I am calling integer z is equal to maximum. So maximum of x comma y. So once you are calling, you can write separate. You can write separate method for integer value. What is the name of the method? Maximum. So now xy, what is the x value? 20. What is the y value? 45. This is called as an argument. These arguments are transferred to number 1 and number. Please be remember, order is very important. Order is important. X value can be transferred to number 1. Y value can be copied into the number 2. Order is important. So as you are giving the order, according to that order, you should copy that values into the parameters. Okay, suppose here 2 are integers, no problem. But sometimes in the calling function, you have the different arguments. So if the different arguments are there, the parameters in the method is also same order. If else, there is a problem. There is a problem. So please be remember, argument value, parameter type, argument type and parameter type are both are same. If else, there is a problem. It cannot be accepted. Fine. So let us take integer x is equal to 20, integer y is equal to 40. Then I want to find out the maximum. Then I can call the method integer maximum x comma y. So x is equal to 20, y is equal to 40. So x argument transferred to number 1, y argument transfer to number 2. So copied. So then it can find out the result. What is the result? Maximum value. So here you are giving the integer. That means return type. What is the return value? Integer return value. So that's why you should return the result. So result is transferred here. So result is transferred here. So that is the maximum of xy calling and it will give the result. So then result can be stored into the Z. So Z can be printed here. Okay. Suppose, let us take, I want to find out the maximum value of double values. So that's why A is the double value and B is the double value. Okay. Now I can call the same name. Here I am using the max, here I am also using the max. So I am calling the same function. But what is the AB? So if the arguments are different, you can write a different program. Single program cannot be accepted. So let us take, I can write the another method. Another method, static double. So what is the return type? Double. What is the name of the maximum? Can you please see what is this? Integer maximum, and here it is a double maximum. So this method can return the double value. So now double number 1, double number 2. So now here what is the double number? A. So what is the argument value? Maximum of A comma B. So A is equal to 100.552, B is equal to 10.552. So A is transferred to copy to number 1, B is copy to number 2. So please be remembered, by calling the method, you should remember one thing: arguments and method parameters both are same data type. Second point, you can copy the values in a order. If the order changes, result should be changes. So you can send order wise. Next thing, argument value should be copied into parameters in the same manner. Okay, right. Suppose if the order changes, then result should be changes. Third one, arguments and parameters are different data types. Then method should not be working. Method should not be working. It will give the wrong value. So that's why here I am calling the integer max of xy, and here I am calling the double value of the max of. So what is overloading? Name is the same. So maximum, name is the same, but what is the parameter types are different. So what is the parameters are different. So that's why here it will give the parameters. Okay. Now I can test. So let us take maximum of x and y is 45. What is the x is equal to 20, y is equal to 45. Then what is the maximum value in integer type? 45. So let us take A is the double, B is the double. So A is equal to 100.552, B is equal to 10.552. So what is the maximum value? 100.552. That's why 100.552. So what is the importance here? Function name, that is the method name is same, but argument types are different. If the arguments are different type, you can use different methods according to the argument parameters. Argument value. Clear? Right. This is called as a overload function. This is called as a overload. This is called as overload. What is a overload? Same method name, but argument type is different. Argument type is different. Okay. Right. Next is the, suppose we want to find out the GCD. Let us take, I want to find out the GCD. This is the passing the values. So it will give the passing the values. So suppose I want to access, the system can want to access the input data from the user. So import, so this is called as the import, java.util.scanner. So that's why what happens, scanner input, that will access the data from the user, new, that system.in. So to write this instruction, it is mandatory. To write the mandatory, you can import this value. So 1, 2, and 3. These three are important to access the data from the user by the processor. Okay. So let us take the first one. I am accessing the first data. I am accessing the second data. Okay. This is a different type of calling the function. Different type of the calling the function. You can write, this is called as the output. So output can be, so with the help of the, okay, at the output you can call the function. So please be remembered that whenever you call the function, it is in the separately, or it is in the resultantly, or it is in the output, whatever it may be, whenever you are call the method, then immediately that call method can be accepted. So this is called as a main function. This is called a main method. This is the one of the method. This is the main method. So here there is no return. Okay, all right. So first there are two types of memory. So this is called as a stack. This is called as a stack. First, according to the main stack, so parameters. So stack is nothing but collection of data, which can store the written values or which can store the data temporarily. Stack is a collection of data, collection of memory location, which can store the data temporarily. In the principle of first in, first out. First in, first out. Okay. So that's why first it can be, what is the input value? You are giving the first data can be loaded. Then the second data should be loaded in the main memory. So now it is calling a function. Once it is a calling function, then another memory location starts. So this is called the GCD of XY. What is the arguments are there? X and Y. What is the data types of arguments are there? Integer. So it can call the integer method. So let us, what is the name of the method? GCD. So integer number 1 and integer number 2. So X value transferred to number 1. This is called passing the value. This is called as passing the values. X, Y cannot be changes. It is just to copy its value to the parameters. So then X value transferred to number 1, Y value can be transferred to number 2. So you can test whether before the passing and after the passing, the X and Y value should not be changes. Okay, please be remembered. In the calling method, X parameter, that argument values cannot be changes. Okay, all right. So now in this program, I am finding the GCD value. So here, what is the return type? Return type is the integer. So you can return some value. So that return can be stored. Wherever the function is calling, you can store the return value. So here, once it is calling, arguments are passes, execute the program, and return the X value. Return the X value. Okay. Now I want to execute. So enter the first data. I want to find out the GCD of 25. First data. Second data is the 65. Okay. 65. Then I am getting the GCD is 5 value. So this is the example of passing parameters. This is the example of the passing parameters. Arguments values can be copied into. So this is called by values. Okay, passing values. So here there are two programs are there. One is the main program and another is the subprogram. In the main program is executed in one temporary stack, and the subprogram can be executed in another stack. Once the, I repeat, once the subprogram is executed, the corresponding stack should be removed and you can enter into the main program stack. Okay, all right. So this is called as a stack values. Okay. Now, next is and last one important thing is the recursion call. Recursion. Recursion stands for repeatedly calling the same method. Repeatedly calling the same method is called as a recursion. I repeat, okay, repeatedly calling the same method again and again and again and again is called as a recursion. Okay, I repeat, what is the recursion method? Same method is repeatedly asking the execution of the method is called as a recursion. So I will give one example. So here I want to accept the data from the user. I want to access the data from the user. So that's why I'm using java.util.scanner, because to accept the data from the user. So that's why first there are 3 steps for accessing the data. First step is java.util.scanner. Second step is scanner input. That means you should give the suggestion to accept the data from the user. Okay, next is what is the data I want to accept. So integer data type x is equal input dot next integer. So these 3 steps are important. 1, 2, 3. What you want to do, how to do, what to do. What you want to do, scanner. How to do, by using the input. What to do? So x value should be accepted. Okay. Now let us take here. I am calling the function in the result type. This is called fact of x. This is called as a fact of x. So what is the factorial? So factorial is equal to x into factorial of x minus 1. Okay, x into x minus 1, x minus 2, x minus 3, x minus 4, and so on, 1, but not 0. But not 0. Okay, so this is the principle. So what is the main recursive thing is that, so what is the, suppose I want to find out 5 factorial, then what happens? 5 into 4 factorial. So for the finding the 4 factorial, 4 into 3 factorial. For the 3 factorial, 3 into 2 factorial. For the 3 factorial, 3 into 2 factorial. Repeatedly, you are calling the factorial function. Factorial function. So that is called as a recursion. So here let us take integer x. So x is an argument. What is the data type? Integer. This integer x is transferred to integer parameter of the method. What is the parameter name? Fact. So that's why this is called fact. So x is copied into the integer k value. And let us take, this is called, what I'm saying, that k into k minus 1 factorial. For the k minus 1 factorial, again k minus 1 into k minus 2 factorial. So whenever they are calling, so they can repeatedly execute the same thing again and again and again and again. Okay, repeatedly performing the same function is called as a recursion, recursive, recurring. Okay, if you're, I'm sorry, don't think otherwise. If you're writing the same exam again and again, that is why you are recurring the examination. Okay, but don't do that in the examination point of view. Okay, for the investment thing, you can recur it, but the study point of view, don't recur it. So same subject, same year cannot repeatedly study. Okay, right. So let us take, it is a calling, argument is transferred to parameter, then it can parameter, the factorial function should be performed. Factorial function should be performed. So once the factorial performed, then what happens? It can be written. Okay, written. So in this function, if the k is greater than 0, then what happens? This can be written value. So again, it is written. Once it is written, then there is a k factorial. So again, it is calling this function. Again, return the value until greater than or equal to 0. So that's why k into k minus 1 factor return compare until k greater than or equal to 1. Again and again and again, this factorial function should be repeated. So once a k reaches to 0, then return the 1 value. Okay, so this is called as a recursion method. This is called as a recursion method. So now I want to execute this. Right. Suppose I want to find out 10 factorial. Okay. So what is the argument value? Integer 10. 10 integer. And it is transferred to method. In the method parameter, what is that value? Integer x. So integer 10 is copied. And it can perform. So what is the 10 value? 10 into 9 factorial. So then it can run into 9 factorial. So again, call is factorial. So call is the factorial again calls until k is greater than or equal to 0. Greater than 0, but not equal to 0. Okay. So this way, repeatedly calling the same method is called as the recursion method. Suppose I want to find out the 10 factorial. So this is the 10 factorial value. But some of the students having the very enthusiasm to find out the 100 factorial. Okay, actually integer type is the integer register. So integer data type can occupy only the 32 bit, only the 4 bytes, 32 bit. Okay, so 32 bit stands for 1 bit you can left for the sign. So that means you can change up to the 31 bits. 2 power 31 is the range. So if the range exceeds, positive value overflow should be takes place, positive should be converted into negative. Okay, so then there is a problem. So within the range, it will give the value. Within the range, it will give the value. Okay, right. Last and final, I want to ask one question. What is the 1 factorial value? Can anybody explain? Hello? Hello? What is the 1 factorial value? Can anybody respond? Hello? Please be respond. Hello? Anybody there? Hello? Anybody there?
1, sir.
Hello?
1, sir.
What is the 1 factorial?
1, sir.
1, sir.
What is the 0 factorial?
1, sir.
Why? Why? Okay, 1 factorial is equal to 1, 0 factorial is also 1. Okay, so let us check whether it is working or not. So data is equal to 1. So then output is equal to 1. Okay, next. Suppose 0 factorial. So I am entering the 0 factorial. So 0, then it will get to 1 value. So it is working properly. So this is the way to discuss different types of methods are there. So how to declare the method, what is the argument, what is the body type, what is the parameters, what is the return type, what is the recursive type, what is the overload type, and everything is explained in the methods. Okay, so up to now it is the basics, but tomorrow onwards it is a real Java can be started, that is the objects and classes. So don't miss the class. Thank you. All of you leave. Any doubt? Any doubt? Okay.